Yes, I know, this is probably the 100th video you've seen on the subject, and it's probably super late compared to the other ones. But here's the thing. 1, this needs as much attention as possible in my opinion because it deals with some pretty serious stuff, and 2, the series that I'm doing of the Scumbags is my personal opinion and reaction to these things anyway. So without further ado. So for the past 3 months or so, you might have heard some names floating around pertaining to the same person. Candace Owens, Red Pill Black, and recently Social Autopsy. But this last name was actually involved in something a little more back in time. Social Autopsy first planned to hit the shelves, so to speak, quite a while back, and people started going nuts when they found out and it got taken down. The Kickstarter got taken down. Then it popped up again and people learned that it was going to be launching anyway despite the failed funding goal. And furthermore with quite a lot of profiles on it, even though it already had quite a substantial amount to begin with. Then fast forward 9 months or so and you get this person named Red Pill Black who's taking the internet by storm. And then now. Social Autopsy returns and people started to uncover who Red Pill Black really may be. So that's a really brief summary to get you up to speed, and this is just what dropped over the past couple days. It is a super brief summary, so let's get into explaining some of the details. What is Social Autopsy? Well, you'll see the title of this video is probably called Candace Owens Red Pill Black or something or other is a scumbag, and if I'm feeling particularly cheeky about the title today, I'm probably going to put in Doxxing Simulator 2017, because that is what Social Autopsy is, and it's not a simulator, that's actually what it does. Social Autopsy allows you to submit someone's name, school, university, workplace, social media accounts, city, state, picture, and a screenshot of what they said on the internet that got you so triggered that you put all the other information in there.
Hey guys, my name is Candace Owens and I am the founder of socialautopsy.com, the first ever search database that aggregates people's social behavior and creates real profiles for them. So what we do is we attach their words to their places of employment, and anybody in the entire world can search for them. What we are doing is figuratively lifting the masks up so nobody can hide behind, Twitter handles or privatized profiles. What if somebody creates a fake Facebook on profile and so the screenshots that are being submitted aren't real? That is a fair question. I think that the most obvious way to answer that is just to say if somebody creates a fake Facebook profile pretending to be you, you've got a bigger problem than Social Autopsy, right? We allow you to write to us, we will investigate every claim if someone is purporting to be you.
And you can make this account for them, and then add to the account. Other people can add to the account, and you can privately follow this profile to see if more people add some more info to further dox this person. And all of this is because of some random troll comments. This is really what it is. If someone trolls you and you don't like it, you can screen cap that stuff and try to figure out who this person is in real life because they said that you sucked on the internet. This is basically what Anita Sarkeesian wanted when she talked about restricting the internet because people said she sucked. And she didn't like that, but she didn't know what a block button is either. Except, honestly, I kind of see myself in a position of seeing which one is less fucked up here, and that is Anita, which is a first for me, honestly. Because even though she's all for trying to restrict freedom of speech as much as possible, it didn't come up with as much of an extreme sort of doxing thing to it. And furthermore, this site will also take the comments of minors and the doxes of minors. So if you're under 18 or whatever, so if you're like a 10-year-old, then you could be up there as well just because you said some stupid crap because you're 10 and you don't know shit.
We think the best time to be on our database is when you are a minor because that's exactly what we're trying to do. We are trying to affect their, conscious when they're young so they know to use the internet more responsibly when they're older.
And that's going to stick with you for your whole life. And Candace at the time thought it was a good thing. Kind of sounds to me like she wants them to learn better about saying their own opinion in terms of trying to be politically correct. And minors, anyone can look this information up, so anyone can see where this 10-year-old or 9-year-old lives in that case. Anyone, no matter what weird sort of thing that they have in mind for knowing that information, anyone can see that. As you can see, Candace Owens is attached as one of the main people behind the Social Autopsy thing. She's doing the FAQ, she is front and center talking about the project, it's everywhere. So then all of this came out and Now here's the thing, I've noticed with a lot of other videos in this topic, people have not really mentioned the fact that she never really tried to hide that she was behind this. In fact, she did mention it when she was doing interviews. And this is one of the things that people use to defend this person, and I'm gonna get into that in a minute, but I just wanted to acknowledge that yes, I did see this sort of thing, and it still doesn't really change my mind as to why she might not be somebody that I would particularly trust. So one of the main arguments defending Candace is that this all happened a long time ago and people change. And since she got red-pilled to become a conservative pretty much overnight, it means that there is a very drastic change in who she is and what she has to go through. Now yes, first off, that can and has happened. People have been forced pretty much to change their mind overnight. I'm not denying that. However, there are so many inconsistencies here that I am not convinced. First off, I should have probably done this at the start, but I'm giving a lot of credit to Jeff Holiday, Tree of Logic, Harmful Opinions, basically because I was not keeping track of or watching any of Candace's content, and had completely forgotten about Social Autopsy when I first heard of it, and I would not have remembered any of this if not for seeing their videos and all of their investigations. So I was not really aware of her content besides briefly knowing who she is. I think the closest I came to actually talking about her was mentioning her and the fact that I heard of her in a video that I made a while back. So anyway, I figured you might like to hear what my perspective on this is. So, Social Autopsy was still up while all of this was going on. I'm not sure if it's up right now as you're watching this because she said she planned to take it down, I think, but I haven't really heard much about that, so I have no idea. But one of the things that did happen when people started making a hullabaloo about it is that aspects like the FAQ and such were scrubbed, even though you could still submit people to the database. And at the beginning, when you first see the site, or even first go onto the site, you could still submit your email because you wanted to be notified when it launched. So it still looked like it was planning to be launched. Plus, it doesn't take that much time to just fucking take down a website. Why do you have to scrub it bit by bit? So the main thing is about the fundraiser Kickstarter thing for it last year that was meant to finish around May 2017, I think. Things have not changed as much as Candace says here. So as you can see, it really wasn't that long ago. It was last year. The thing is still up. Plus, she made a tweet saying that she doesn't want to take Social Autopsy back because she thinks her heart was in the right place back then. Okay, this is something that I have to call bullshit on, because the biggest part of changing is knowing that you are wrong, no matter where your heart is or where you thought it was. We may have certain opinions that at the time we used to do certain actions that we think is a good thing because our heart's in the right place at the time, but that doesn't change the fact that they may have still been mistakes. You still would have had the wrong idea of what was going on, and then you made a mistake. Even though your heart's in the right place, and you could say that your heart's in the right place, that's totally valid. That's a totally valid thing to say if that's actually what you were thinking at the time. That doesn't change the fact that if it was something that wasn't a good idea, if it was a bad thing, if it's something that could potentially hurt people, you still can't act like it's a good thing. Because you changed your mind, you grew, you realized why that certain thing was not a good idea. So even though at the time you thought it was, and it wasn't from malicious intent by you whatsoever, you still need to acknowledge that. She acknowledges that her heart may have been in the right place, which I'm fine with, but she does not acknowledge in any way why this could be a bad idea. Even when she's talking about it in these interviews, she refers to it as an anti-bullying website. It's not, it's a doxing website. There's all this vague fluff about how you can submit someone and then they'll be in the database if this like team behind Social Autopsy will decide whether it counts as harassment or not. But that's so vague because you don't really have a definition for harassment up there. You kind of just say that you have to determine if it is or not. What the fuck is hate speech? It could be anything. It could mean anything. You could be as biased as possible when thinking about what it is. So she definitely wasn't really being honest when she was talking about these things in the interviews as well, because it's not really an anti-bullying website. It's not trying to teach children about technology. It's doxing. Because you disagree with them or they said that you were a bitch on the internet doesn't mean that you should dox them. That's just ridiculous to even think that. Oh, and in another tweet, even though she says that she had been red-pilled or whatever overnight, whatever term you want to use here, she then says that she wasn't an SJW, which I find even more inconsistent with what's going on so far. You made this big deal about how you've suddenly been forced to accept these different things about different worldviews and everything, and yet then you say that you were never like that in the first place. You say that you were red-pilled overnight, and then some people who have been defending her in the comments sections of other videos have said that it took her a long time to get to where she is now. And which is it? What is it? The more this stuff comes out, it's not making her look any more credible. So she did try to hide her motives for it, in my opinion. It is not anti-bullying. She didn't mention what definition of bullying she was working from or how biased it would be towards a particular opinion. Then we get to the TED Talk that she did last year. And she had a lot of SJW talking points, and her talking about her past in interviews, she says she was an SJW. Now, this is more proof for the inconsistencies here. And now we get to the kind of weird part, and I'm going to be relying heavily on referencing the Harmful Opinions video here, because he has a lot of good points and I kind of need to just put that out there. So she said that Zoe Quinn had personally called her and said that she was concerned for minors being doxxed on the website, all of this sort of stuff, and all the stuff about anonymity and trolls and everything. But you see, here's the things that Zoe Quinn said, a lot of them sounded very, very, very familiar to a Chris Ray Gun video that came out criticizing Social Autopsy. And this is where the Harmful Opinions video came in, because he was the one who really got onto this.
In this piece, she writes regarding her phone call with Zoe Quinn, she began normally by again stating her credentials and telling me that I was making a huge mistake. She informed me she spoke on behalf of all the agencies and organizations that she worked with, and told me that they had contacted her because they were concerned. They were concerned that minors would be doxxed. One last thing worth addressing that lacks context is this part of the Rubin Report interview.
And she told me that she spends time on 4chan because of what she does, and she saw that people were already talking about my project, and if I didn't pull it, these anonymous white men and Trump supporters, you have to remember this was during the election cycle, were going to come after me and dox my family, which essentially means put up their personal information so people can try to kill them. That's what she says.
So she said this is what they are going to do. So she was oddly threatening you with being doxxed, but it wasn't she that was going to dox you.
She thought I was a total moron, I think, you know, and I'm like, okay, I'm not pulling my project. She hangs up the phone crying. Within 2 hours, we were absolutely inundated. About 4,000 emails via Kickstarter, like, you know, nigger, 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 die, 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 you know, pull your project.
If you're a regular viewer of the Rubin Report, you'll know that he had Chris Ray Gun, a YouTuber, on. And guess what? He's actually where loads of this hate came from. He riled up hundreds of thousands of people against her project.
Hello, Candace. My name is Chris. I'm gonna dismantle your poorly thought out website.
And furthermore, he basically said the same thing Zoe Quinn did. In her now hidden piece of writing, Candace Owens said that Zoe Quinn was concerned that people would go after those on her database, that it would just make the problem worse. And Chris Ray Gun said this in his video viewed by hundreds of thousands.
The problem is, this site is only going to make it easier for those people who do SWAT and who do dox to get vital information about people they don't like.
It really just shows how similar these things are. It's just really, really similar, like dot point by dot point. You kind of line them up and it just is eerily weird. It's very weird and eerily similar how these things kind of fit together. It's not exactly verbatim, but it might as well be. So then we have this idea that Zoe Quinn and, as Candace puts it, the Gamergators started to come after her. She had to take everything down, and then everything got taken down, and that's what red-pilled Candace, right? But here's the thing, Chris Ray Gun's video was arguably the most popular video on the subject at the time, and a lot of people in his comment section, as Harmful Opinions said, were saying stuff about how they wanted to stop this because they thought it was a terrible idea. So in a way, it's weird because everything that Zoe Quinn does, it's almost like in Candace's story, she basically took Chris Ray Gun and replaced his face with Zoe Quinn's and kept what he said and what happened. Now I'm going to put my tinfoil hat on here because I just have some weird stuff to... This whole thing is weird, basically, and I have some weird kind of thoughts forming about it. I kind of want to express them. Perfectly fine if you think that it's crazy, but I'm just going to say it anyway. So a lot of people like Tree of Logic are saying that this person is not actually a conservative and she still has SJW talking points, and a lot of her story is pretty much fucked up and a bunch of lies. Now, I'm starting to lean towards that as well because there are so many inconsistencies here and so many just blatantly weird things going on that, you know, it's like the TED Talk and just all of this sort of stuff, her saying that she was never an SJW and then saying that she was, which is it? But here's the thing, it's almost like Candace saw Chris Ray Gun's video and then her shit got taken down, and then she comes back as someone who got instantly red-pilled and put Zoe Quinn as Chris Ray Gun in her story. Now, why might this be? So let's go on with the tinfoil hat. So in terms of someone who wants to pander dishonestly to people to get money for funding their website or whatever, which sounds better to you? 1. The scenario where a person sees a video by a dude who just made a video saying his opinion, and then she gradually learns to use free thought and change her mind over a couple months, and she learns that what she's done is kind of stupid and what her ideas weren't good like she thought, even though her heart was in the right place. Or a person she thought was someone that was on her side aggressively rushed to her and all of these Gamergate people, and suddenly there's this massive harassment and explosions everywhere, and she's got red-pilled in an instant as everything kind of went tits up. Which one sounds more traumatic? Which one sounds more victim complex here? Because that is a very important point. This is something that Tree of Logic brought up, but it's a very apt kind of observation. There's a lot of shit about the mainstream media and SJWs in general, kind of saying that all conservatives are white supremacists and all this sort of stuff. They have a lot of pressure on them to kind of show it's the equivalent of basically going, hey, I am not racist, I have black friends, and because there's this pressure on them from SJWs to kind of prove they aren't racist and just kind of deal with all these accusations. So there is a victim complex that starts to develop here, where if they see someone who's a black woman conservative, they will immediately go, holy shit, we need this, because that's something to kind of prove that they aren't racist, something to kind of push back against all these allegations that kind of just came out of nowhere and that they have to deal with. So that's why she kind of just rose through the ranks super quickly, which honestly, that in itself is also weird as well, because there are a lot of people like Tree of Logic and Paddy Politics who are conservative black women, and yet they are not really getting as much attention as her. It is actually very weird that she suddenly just rocketed up in the ranks, to so to speak, all of a sudden out of nowhere, even though there were a lot of people already saying the things that she was saying. So going back to what I said before, which one sounds like a more, I say, tabloid-friendly sort of story? Which sounds like a more kind of dramatic story to also validate people's thoughts that SJWs really do hate people who are black and female who don't fall in line with feminism and harass them, and that is something that fits all of those things, and that's something that will give her a lot of credibility in the eyes of people who are trying to look for that sort of thing. Just kind of speak about doxing itself. This is a really scary thing. Dealing with someone's personal information, it's really fucking scary. All of this triggered people doubling down for Candace at the moment, and it's really weird seeing these people dogmatically following her like this. No matter how Reddit and 4chan have had fun with this and will probably burn it to the ground, there is the fact that there are actual accounts on there are actual profiles on there, and God knows what accurate information actually on there. It's dealing with people's real information, and we don't know now what actual accurate information is on there. Who has actually been doxed on there already? The people who are defending her, explain to me a couple things. Why did she take so long to take the website down? Why does she not want to take the website down? Why does she not understand why doxing is a horrible idea? Why does she think it's a good idea to have this up? Why would she say that she was never an SJW, but then to everyone in all the interviews say that she was one and she got red-pilled? This is a sudden change while keeping the site up. Even after she claimed that she changed, the site was still up. And this is where I kind of go into what I've heard in comments on Twitter, so pretty much just, this is none of the stuff that I actually have screenshots for or anything, this is just rambling thoughts that I've had from what I've seen. But I've heard people on Twitter saying that she just copies talking points from other popular conservatives and parrots them again. I've seen these kind of Twitter videos going around where people have compiled these sorts of things together and shown popular conservatives and then shown her saying the exact same thing. I'm not really familiar about these things because I'm not a conservative, but that just adds to the weirdness. And there's the comparison between her and Lacey Green. Now, here's the thing about Lacey Green. So we're gonna do a little comparison of our own here. Firstly, Lacey Green, I kind of understand the kind of concerns here, because I remember distinctly that she was false flagging people who were using her image in the thumbnails and making these bullshit excuses for doing so. And I haven't really been following a Twitter account or anything recently, so I have no idea if she apologized for that or not. And that if she hasn't, that's a thing that I would like to see happen. She should, because otherwise people are just kind of ignoring all of the stuff that happened there and letting her get away with that. And it kind of needs to be sorted out, I guess. But the main difference between Red Pill Black and Lacey Green is that Lacey Green never really claimed to completely change her opinion. She still has whatever opinion she has, it's just that she's open to changing them by talking to people. So it is very much a different thing here because she's just open to debate and that's about it. She's just changed her mind on the stance of debate. She hasn't completely flipped to the other side. Candace has. And plus, it's dealing with the things that I mentioned before. I mean, false flagging is a shit thing to do, but in between trying to false flag and then stopping and maybe just either trying to pretend that it hasn't happened and won't happen again because you know that it was a fucked up thing to do, or, you know, apologizing for it, I don't know what she did. And what Candace did, which is have a doxing website still up and then defend it and not want to take it down. It's a pretty big difference in stupid things to do and fucked up things to do. So that's the difference for me. And this isn't really me defending Lacey as much as just saying that there's differences here. I don't really have much of an opinion on Lacey, honestly. As I said, I haven't really had time to keep up with stuff that she said on Twitter and stuff, and it'll give me a minute to really try and see what she is saying and listen to some of her debates and things. So wow, this was a very unorganized video, but I really had to get it out. I'll see if I can link some videos that I think really helped me in the description. Going on past that, just as a quick ramble at the end of this video, you may have noticed that my uploads are drastically slower than they were before, and even though my videos are kind of back to normal in the way that they're longer and I don't have as much time constraints, I still do have quite a few. Even though my exams are over, there's a bunch of other stuff that's happening with me. I don't have as much time as I did before, so I'm not saying that I'm gonna go back to like one upload a week, but if it does get to that point every now and again, I'm still alive, I'm not dead, I will upload even if it takes a bit longer than usual. The only reason that I don't use Facecam is either because the weather's super fucked up and I can't get the lighting right, something broke, or I just don't have time to set everything up, so it's easier for me to just talk into the microphone and just like edit in the avatar that my channel artist Marcy made for me. So with me uploading less frequently, instead of like 4 or 3 days between uploads, maybe like a week or 5 days or whatever, I will have time to actually find a place to set up that Facecam shit, because I actually prefer doing Facecam, it's easier for me to express myself. But yeah, that was a really fucking long ramble, a really long video. Tell me what you think.